Alrighty. Welcome in. We are live here for the Team of the Year selection show. Welcome, welcome. If you don't know how this works, is we're gonna go through all the stat leaders and put together the Team of the Year. I'm then gonna go through everybody's team just to make sure we didn't miss anyone and miss any players, basically. So, yeah, there was a delay on the last stream. There's going to be another delay here, so just write what you have to say in chat. I can always go back and re-look at stuff, but yeah, the Wi-Fi today is messed up, so there's a delay, unfortunately. But we're going to start Team of the Year. So, quarterback is probably going to be a big topic here. I'm not quite sure how we want to go about it. There's obviously two parts, the yards and the touchdowns, interceptions, and then obviously the rushing. So first up, you got Braxton Miller here. He did 43 to 13. And rushing-wise, he had 340 yards and 4 TDs. So 47 total TDs, 13 interceptions. He had the most yards in the country, though, 4,800. Now, going down the list, then Mark Liu here. He had 4,200 with 43 touchdowns. Rushing-wise, he had 800 yards and 7. So, he had more touchdowns total, less interceptions total, and just a little less yardage. So, I'd put Mark Liu ahead of Braxton Miller currently. And then next up is obviously Marcus Davis, 43 to 8. He won all these awards. Rushing-wise, he had 9 touchdowns, so he's up to 52 and 8. So it's 52 to 8 or 49 or 49 to 6. So who should get first? I'm not going to consider Boykin because of the interceptions unless he had like crazy rushing. Yeah, no, he did not. Kiko Strong definitely did not have any crazy rushing. Yeah, no. So there's only 2 spots. Probably, I'd say probably it's going to be Marcus Davis 1 and Mark Liu 2. Braxton Miller, just a little bit too much interception-wise. And as far as team success, I mean, he did win the ACC, but they had 5 losses and win a bowl game. And then Mark Liu, he won. I don't know how you could not give Marcus Davis player 1. So that's what we're going to pencil in. Marcus Davis 1. And then Mark Liu at 2 for right now. Can always change it if somebody has a huge gripe. We'll see. All right, on to running backs. I don't think there's any sort of a debate here for number 1. I think, pretty obvious. Banks gets it. There might be a debate, though, whether he gets on the linebackers. So McBurn, Finger. Okay. Now, as far as running back number 2, as you can see, there's not really a SFA player up here. So you have Snoop Todd, who has 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. So let's see. 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, and then receiving-wise, he adds in an additional 806. So he basically had 2,000 total yards with 17 touchdowns. Was that right? 17? No, 16 touchdowns, okay? Dexter McCluster, he had about the same yardage here, 13 touchdowns. How about receiving? He didn't do anything in the receiving, so no chance for him there. Storm Johnson, just not enough touchdowns. Yeah, no. Doug Chonkla, okay, he has 17 touchdowns. So it's 1,200 yards, 17. And then receiving-wise, 1. So who gets it? Do you give it to Snoop Todd, who had more rushing yards, less rushing touchdowns, and two less total TDs, and just a little bit more yardage. Let's see, what's the yardage for, yeah, only 200, and then did he return? No, he didn't return any this year, so I think Doug Chonkla loses out just slightly there. Braylon Burnside, let's take a look. He had 12. And only 3. Okay, so Snoop Todd is going to get number 2 for right now. That's a huge W. Snoop Todd, you gotta love him. All right, receiver. So yardage-wise, you got Boozler and Evans up here. Bars TDs. Heimlich, Heisenberg's up there as well. Okay, so let's take a look. So first up, Mike Evans, 1,700 yards receiving, 11 touchdowns. That's ridiculous. Any rushing? No, not really. Okay. Boozler, he had 1,600, but 3 more touchdowns, so I'd put that ahead of him. And he ran a little bit more, but nothing major, but 3 more touchdowns. So right now I'd put Boozler slightly ahead. I think 3 touchdowns makes up 65 yards. Next up, Allen Hurns. He had 1,200 yards and 19 touchdowns here, and he did win the Bolentikoff, so pretty much has to be on Team of the Year. I think that is, 1,200 to 1,700, is that enough to make 500 yards, 5 more touchdowns? I think it'll go Boozler 1, Hurns 2. I don't know, dude. 19 touchdowns is so many. You have Kim Metal here. 1,200. Only 13 TDs. He didn't really rush. Did he do anything on defense? No, not really. So, and then here's Heimlich, Heisenberg. I mean, 1 touchdown definitely makes up the 13-yard difference or whatever it is, or the 26-yard difference. And then if you go over to drops, Heimlich only had 2 drops, so Heimlich will make Team of the Year over Mo Alley as well. All right, so wide receiver 1, yeah, so Boozler, Hurns, and then Mike Evans. And then Heimlich, Heisenberg just by the skin of his teeth. Let's go. He gets tight, or wide receiver 4. As far as tight ends, they're really hard to find. I'm just going to go down here a little bit. There's no way to sort by David Tyree had a decent year. Jackson Smith and then Jigba. Eric Ebron, obviously, is probably going to be number 1 here. So I'm going to pencil in Ebron for tight end 1. We'll have to do... We'll have to go through and see if there's somebody else. But so far for tight ends, I don't really see anyone. So Lackey, he's not one. I'm just scrolling through for tight ends specifically. Simi Kazi, 900 yards, 5 TDs. Decent year. All right, I'm going to pencil him in just to start because I'm going to go through every team. Yeah, we'll go through Lazard, Ty Schultz. We'll see if Lazard is better. All right. So blocking wise, this is normally pretty easy. You just go through the pancakes and we find the top 5 SFA linemen. So Cameron Fleming surprisingly getting 50 pancakes and only 5 sacks allowed. So the senior redshirt, we're going to put him at right guard for now, Fleming. For out of Baylor. Remember, only SFA players, Carver, Kemper. So this may be a full right side for Baylor here. And then Xavier Johnson, the SFA player, ECU, he'll be at left guard. It's all about pancakes and lack of sacks. ECU, let's go. Fergus Sinclair, once again, this is a bit of a down year for him. Last year he had a huge year. So, Sinclair. This is Syracuse. Yeah, the O-line always makes this super easy. Just now, whoever's next gets center. So we'll see who it is. Jet Riker. So Jet Riker is going to get the center position. I'll always be pissed at those guys who made him a fucking lineman. Jet Riker is supposed to be a wide receiver, but that's fine. All right. Obviously subject to change, but that's the easiest way to do offensive line. Now, as far as defensively, so we have 4 defensive linemen. So we group together all D ends and D tackles, and then cornerbacks we group in linebackers and all safeties. Yeah, welcome in, Flame. All right, so total tackles, who had the most? No SFA players really up here. So for sack-wise, typically sack number is obviously going to help us. Lawrence, he's not an SFA player, but a great year for him. The first SFA player up here is Roderick Rook Chungong. He had 9.5, 27 tackles for loss. He had 2 forced fumbles. I think that's definitely worthy of being penciled in right now at number 1. So Rook Chungong for the D-line. So you keep going down by sacks. Dwayne Johnson, he did get up to 9. So, and he has 26 TFLs. And he did have a fumble recovery. So Dwayne Johnson getting in on this one for right now. And we keep going here. Shad Boyko, he got 8. Okay. 23 tackles for loss. Did he do anything outstanding out here? He did get a fumble recovery. No defensive touchdowns or anything. But Shad Boyko, once again, potentially could be making it. Boyko. All right. And as we move down, sack-wise, so not Calcium Loudermilk, the SFA player, 17.5. He had 6.5 sacks, fumble recovery, a few deflections here and there. I think that is decent to get you up there. 6.5 sacks. The only thing I'm going to go through now is tackles for loss leaders. See if there's another D lineman who went crazy on the TFLs and just didn't have the sack numbers. That way we can compare. Okay, so Terry Schooler as well. He had 25 compared to Loudermilk's fewer. So, and he had the same amount of sacks. So Terry Schooler, I think, will get Team of the Year instead of Calcium. Let's keep going, though, just to make sure. We have 6.5. Obviously, 8 is better. And Sean Oakman, he had 6.5 as well. Not as many TFLs. But yeah, still better than Calcium Loudermilk. Okay, so we'll keep going. Jadeveon Clowney, only 1 sack this year. That's rough. Kyle Brookins, he had 4 sacks and 20 TFLs. All right, so we're going to put Terry Schooler down for that 4th spot. All right, now on to linebackers, who is a really difficult one to figure out, honestly. It's just like going through all the linebackers and figuring out who is made the most impact, pretty much. So if you look here, Bud Dupree, SFA player, 98 total tackles, 5 TFLs, a half sack. He had 3 interceptions, 12 deflections, a forced fumble, fumble recovery. All right, so I think Bud Dupree is probably going to be one of the linebackers. Let's keep going, though, see if anybody else popped off. David McCormick, he had 95 tackles, more TFLs, 3.5 sacks. He didn't have any interceptions, 7 deflections, fumble recoveries. So if I had to rate these two right now, I'd put Bud Dupree and then McCormick. And then obviously always looking for a third. Looking for total tackles. Look at this man. Does Bink McBurnfinger, does he get it? 90 tackles. He had 9 TFLs, 3 sacks, so similar to Dave McCollum. No interceptions. We know he had a few pass deflections. He did have 2 forced fumbles and 3 fumble recoveries. No defensive touchdowns. So we'll see if there's anyone else right around this range, though, in terms of number of tackles. AJ Klein, he did get freshman All-American. All right, there's 2 guys here. So 12 TFLs and 5 sacks. That is better than McBurnfinger. He had 2 interceptions. All right. 3 deflections, no forced fumbles, though. So do you value interceptions or fumbles? Shaquan Bowser, he did a lot less here. He, I don't think, would be in consideration. Just because of the increase, though, in TFLs, I think you got to give AJ Klein it over McBurnfinger for right now. So, all right, so the 3 linebackers right now would be Bud Dupree, and then David McCollum, or McCormack, I mean. And then the freshman AJ Klein. Okay. Moving on to cornerback. Corner. So obviously you got to think about interceptions and deflections here. So that's what we care about. So Shutung Mungwa, SFA player, he has to be in here for sure. Tied for the league. He had 9 deflections, no defensive touchdowns. He had 50 tackles, 4 TFLs, so Shutung Mungwa definitely a top corner. As we continue on here. Eric Reed is an SFA player. He had 1.5 sacks. He is a safety, though. 4 TFLs. 14 pass deflections. That's pretty good. Nothing outstanding there, but definitely worth consideration. But yeah, I think I could pretty much give... here's Enzo Woods. He had 4 TFLs. Not as much in the run game. He had 4 pass deflections. He is also a safety, so I think you give it to Eric Reed over him. Frank Beamer here, 4 interceptions, 3 sacks. Okay. How do you do on his deflections? 16 deflections, a forced fumble. All right, so I think Beamer has to be up here as well. Darrell Revis, he had 4. He had a half sack. How you do on the deflections? He had 11. A fumble recovery. Alright, so Darrell Revis. Fork, he had more sacks and a lot more tackles than Darrell Revis. He had more deflections, forced a fumble, and he had defensive touchdowns. So Fork would be above him for me so far. Alright, so we currently have, I'm going to put in Shutung Mungwa. And then, so would we probably then go Fork and then Beamer, huh? Let's see the deflections. Yeah, so I'd go Fork. Fork, then Beamer. Right now I'm going to put Eric Reed at safety 1. And let's continue down the line here for interceptions. Michael Cole, he had 4. 5 deflections. No defensive touchdowns or anything. 3 TFLs, a half of a sack. Alright, so I still don't see a ton of guys. There's some guys missing, so let's go by deflections, see who had a shitload. James Kiffin here, 19 deflections, 2 interceptions. He did get a sack. And no touchdowns. So how does 19 deflections compare to like a Frank Beamer here? So 3 more deflections, but 2 less interceptions. He has a sack to his 3. Like, yeah, Beamer's ahead of him for me. Jaquavion Tavius, he had 14. How many receptions? Only 1. Darren Williams, he only had 1. Fork, obviously, we already went through. So, interested to see where some guys finish, but I don't really see any other safeties here. Oh, here's Deion Buchanan. No interceptions, no sacks, just a lot of tackles. He had a fumble, 12 deflections, no touchdowns. Yeah, he cannot make it. Darrell Revis. Alright, so the only thing we're looking for here is, how did Norkeithus Otis do? 3 tackles for loss, no interceptions, only 2.5. Yeah, no. Well, the only thing I'm really looking for right now is a safety. Alright, so I'm not finding any good safeties here, so might be a down safety here, so we're gonna have to find that when we go through stats. Alright, well, on to kicking. Who is going to get kicker of the year here? So let's just look at field goal percentage so far. Cole Becker, I mean, yeah, we'll look at him. Okay, Roberto Aguayo, 81%. He was 13 for 16. He did have the career long this year. He got 1 blocked. Extra points attempted. Extra points good. He only missed 1. And 50 plus. He hit 1. Okay, so that's a decent. Dang, the field goal percentage is so bad for SFA guys. All right, Janikowski, so it was 13 for 16. He's 14 for 19. His long was only 47. He missed 2 extra points. Seabass is not making team of the year. So, all right, Roberto Aguayo will get it for kicker. Remember, I'm going to go through everyone's roster. I just want to make sure we have a base to go off of. 2. He missed 2. All right. So punt-wise, I mean, I guess we can start by sorting the punts down inside the 20. That's probably the ideal punter, right? We don't have a lot of SFA punters, so down inside the 20. Pat McAfee here, he had 19. He averaged 43 yards a punt. He had 69 attempts, nice. 43 average. 1 was blocked, 19, only 5 touchbacks on a punt. His longest punt was 60. All right, let's see if anyone else can compete. I think the only other one was Randy Orton or Spencer Lanning. Doubt either of them are all that great. Most of our guys are kickers, so this one kind of is an easy award to win. Oh my god, where are our guys? So Mike Morris is the guy who won it. Just keep going down. Randy Orton here, he had 41 average, so less. He only had 11 inside the 20, and his long was 60, so he is not getting that. And Lanning. All right, here's Lanning, who is entering the transfer portal, so if you want him, you can get him, but 8 inside the 20. He had an average punt of 39 yards, not good. Or no, 40 yards, okay. So, all right. So, Pat McAfee gets punter. All right, so that gives us a basic look at Team of the Year. I think it's a pretty good list, but obviously we want to go through every team. Every team with SFA players, and this is where you guys can look in, see your ends of year stats. We're going to start with Arizona State. So Jared Lorenzen, he's not on Team of the Year. He only had 3,100 yards, 30 TDs to 7. He got sacked 13 times. That's because this was mainly a rushing offense. He had 600 yards, 5. Morgan was pretty good. And fumble-wise, he only had 1 fumble. Receiving, you got Badger for 800. He had 9 touchdowns. Nice. And then, as far as receiving-wise, he doesn't have any SFA players. His SFA players currently are on defense. Oh, let's check blocking here. Okay. Defensively, you got McCollum. Luke Bowman, let's see how he did. No sacks, 1 interception, 5 deflections, so nothing good for him. Let's get at least these going. Curtis Lofton, his freshman season, he got 1 TFL, he got a sack. And then these are all just offensive wise. Roberto Guayo, we already saw. Punting. Cool. All right. Baylor. Teddy, his last career game, he got benched in the CFP. 3,700 yards. Definitely a good career for him. Look at these numbers. I mean, he improved vastly every season. Rushing, though. Burnside, he's not making Team of the Year. Snoop Todd did better. Eric Ebron, Chet Doge. It's rushing. Alright, so let's see how Doge did. 699. Okay. Blocking. These two are going to make Team of the Year. defensively. Bo Blackshear. All right, so this could be someone that we only 3 sacks though, 19 TFLs. Yeah, definitely not enough to get him up there. Kalmus, 4.5 sacks from a linebacker position, but 1 fumble recovery, not enough there. He did have 2 interceptions. Boykos, Team of the Year. Amos, how did he do this year? No sacks, no interceptions, only 2 deflections. That's not going to get you up there, my guy. Mustafa Jalil. James Ray. No, Bo Blackshear was is a real player, or a real prospect I found on the 247 composite website. James Ray, all of his sacks for the year were in the playoff games, which is ironic. Kicker, he should get a better kicker, punting, and then any return touchdowns, no. All right, Buffalo and Coach Pinstripe. 3,700 yards, 30 TDs, only 4 interceptions for Manning, but that's just not going to get him on Team of the Year. He would need like 15 more touchdowns thrown, but still a very impressive season for the sophomore. Paulo Ames, 9 tutties, 980 yards. Manning as well. Decent year for this team. Shocking year, honestly. Now, receiving-wise, all right, so Tyrell, how was he? We got to compare how Tyrell goes against Kazi. So Calvin Tyrell, who... Actually, no, he goes with wide receivers. Never mind. He has to actually play tight end, which he does. All right, well, let me go see 600 yards, 6 TDs, and let's see what Toledo was rocking. Toledo, Simi Kazi, 900 yards, 5 TDs. I think 300 is enough to overtake him there. So Calvin Tyrell will not be making Team of the Year. Antoine Randall, you'd like him to do a little bit better. Paulo Ames. Okay. Blocking-wise, Stabler, that's not enough to get on Team of the Year. Thame. All right. Defensively, Michael Morse, 5.5 sacks, 19 TFLs, no interceptions, forced fumbles at the end. So he gets held off Team of the Year as well. He made it last year, but just not enough sacks. Barney Fish, he may get safety Team of the Year. I'm looking for a second one. 1.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 3 deflections, and he did have 2 touchdowns. So right now, Barney Fish will be penciled in as my safety number 2. Elevate George Jordan. How many? He had 2 interceptions. Nice. No sacks. Housey. And then Eddie Piper. How did he do? No sacks for him. No forced fumbles, so kind of meh. And these are all just trash cans. Okay. Kicking-wise, means pretty shit. And then any kick returns, LeBourne had 1, and no punt returns. All right, East Carolina, let's take a look. Bo Wallace, get the fuck off Team of the Year. No way, no how. Worst player I've ever seen. Dog shit. Running-wise, he had 10. So in total, he had 44 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's not enough for Team of the Year. Storm Johnson, neither as well. Prescott played a little bit, it looks like. And then Randy Watson, is he going to get on Team of the Year? No, he isn't. That's just not enough to beat Simi Kazi. Less yardage and less touchdowns. Heimlich is on Team of the Year. But yeah, strong season. We just fucked up at the end. Xavier Johnson is. Jackie Claude gets held off. 38 is the number you need. Arnie Ronaldo as well. Defensively, Deion Buchanan. He didn't do anything. We already decided that. Sua Cravens, let's see. 3 tackles for loss. No sacks. Need to be able to have sacks. Just a few fumbles. No TDs. Not good enough. Vic Beasley, how did he wind up? 3 sacks. Nice. Junior Jabby, how did he wind up? Nothing crazy. Aaron Lynch, did he get any sacks? 2.5. Nice. Leslie Stirrups, 1 sack on the defensive line. Trash. Come on, guys. Clint Kubiak, he didn't get any of those. Yeah, just not enough stats for this defense. J.J. Watt, only 3 sacks. Are you kidding me? Jordy Drake, didn't do much. All right. Kicking wise, Larson, he missed a shitload of field goals. He was a decent punter. And then Deion Buchanan returned 1. That's interesting. All right. Georgia Tech now. Only 1,500 yards and 9 touchdowns to 8 interceptions for Joe Webb. What a terrible freshman year for Coach Mike. That is not good, to say the least. 40% completion rate. This is a booty cheeks quarterback, to say the least. Hopefully he can figure something out to get him better, but that's rough. Rushing-wise, Joe Webb. Yeah, this is pretty god-awful. There's a reason why he sucked this year. I mean, Kenneth Williams, 1,000-yard rusher, 10 touchdowns, nicely done. Receiving-wise, where is our boy DJ St. Julian? He only had 3 catches all year. What are you doing to my boy? As far as offensive line, Fred Burtz, 2, nicely done. Defensively, McIntyre. Chandler Jones, how did he do? 2.5 sacks for a freshman campaign. Not the worst. But, you know, as the BearCave reward last season, you'd like a little bit more. And not much going for this. Kicking wise, Corey Johnson, 5 of 10 for third. Oh God, these SFA kickers, man, they'll hurt you. But yeah, Joe Webb, definitely the surprising performance. Kiko Strong, if he played the whole year, probably had Team of the Year in the bag, but because he got an injury, he is getting held out. But a good sophomore campaign. Rushing-wise, Juwan Harvey, 15 touchdowns. Not enough yardage, though. Receiving-wise, yeah, just not enough yardage for Team of the Year. And then receiving, Mo Alley, as we come up on March Madness, he was the reward last year for March Madness. 11 touchdowns, just outside the Team of the Year conversation. No, the chat can help, Coco. Stephen Moore is the tight end. No touchdown, so he is not possible to be on there. No linemen, so this doesn't matter. And then, like, the worst defense in the country, Vinny Sunseri, the tampered player, 12 tackles for loss, a sack and a half, nothing, 3 forced fumbles, pretty good. Who's our linebacker 3? AJ Klein. I don't think that beats AJ Klein. Let's see. Ogletree is an SFA player. No sacks, 2 interceptions, 4 deflections. All right, so let's just quickly compare Sunseri versus AJ Klein. So AJ Klein, he had 5 sacks, 12 TFLs, 2 interceptions. Yeah, so, okay. So I think Vinny Sunseri being off that list is correct. Ogletree. Did he have a defense touchdown? He did. Very nice. But that's not quite enough to get on Team of the Year. Joel Ward, he had 2 sacks in his freshman year. He did get a pick, too. Nicely done. Harrison Smith, how did he do? Half sack, 2 interceptions, 4 deflections, no defensive touchdowns. Not really a great year for a safety. You would have liked him to do a little bit more. Jabari Stratford, he didn't do anything. All right, kicking-wise, James Mueller, 11 for 11. So, all right, Iowa State has a good one. Tyler Johnson, kick return. All right, who is next? Kansas. Kyle White, how did he do? 3,800 yards, 35 to 18. 300 yards. Nice. A nice year. Not Team of the Year worthy, but still a very nice. Now, the real question is, does he enter the transfer portal for like the 6th time in a row? Most likely not, because he's a starter, but that would be funny. Rushing, you got a lot of different guys getting involved here. Eddie Dove did get 4 carries. Let's go. JJ Justice, let's see how he did receiving wise. Obviously, Stephen McBride was really good. But he's not an SFA player. JJ Justice ended up with only 194 yards and 2 touchdowns on offense. Just not good enough. See, that's a case of a two-way player not really doing his part. All right, on the line, he had a lot of trouble this season. If your offensive line was healthy all year, you probably could have made a run for a Citrus Bowl. Dave McCormick, we have him listed as a Team of the Year linebacker. Let's see. Pearson. All right, Patrick Chung. He had 2 sacks, 6 TFLs, no interceptions, 5 deflections, a forced fumble. I don't think this is quite enough to take out Barney Fish, because Barney Fish had those 2 pick sixes. JJ Justice, he had a sack and a half, 6 TFLs. He did have an interception, 4 deflections, forced fumbles. So he's getting involved on defense, which is nice. Just don't think quite enough. He is a dark horse, though, for future years. And then nobody else is on this defense that we care about. Kicking, Bobby Copeland. Not the worst kicker we've seen today. Brandon Graham. And then did Fink get any returns for touchdowns? No, he did not. All right. Michigan State, they just lost, unfortunately. Hamfe, fantastic year. 51 touchdowns, I believe, leads the country. Non-SFA player, though. Obviously, Binks got first. Here are the rest. Bradford Blazer, nice. Tough loss in the Natty today for them, but Blazer had a decent year. Blocking wise, no SFA blockers here. Defensively, most tackles was in fact Binks. He did not get on Team of the Year for linebacker as of right now. Dwayne Johnson is on Team of the Year. He's number 2 for the D-line with 9 sacks. And this is how the defense shook out for Coach McNasty. Kicking, he had a decent year. He had a award-winning punter. Minnesota, Travion Boykin did get held out because of his interceptions. Rushing-wise, Jameson Crowder had a decent year. Michael Oates, the SFA player. And then receiving-wise, Kim Mettle barely missing out. He's probably ranked number 5. Jameson Crowder, Oates, and Calvin Johnson finishes with 13 total receptions for 161 yards. Definitely not Team of the Year worthy. And the man spent like $500K on a trash can. Sergio Lakiki, nothing crazy there for him. Defensively, Shaquan Bowser and A.J. Klein. We have A.J. Klein on Team of the Year. Sean Oakman will just miss out on DL number 4 behind Terry Schooler. Let's see who else. Calvin Pryor, SFA player. He didn't do anything really this season. And then where's Tyrell Keys? I didn't see Tyrell Keys in here. Yeah, exactly. Guaranteed starter, 13 catches. Tyrell Keys, no interceptions. He ended Garrett Grayson's career and became a hard hitter, I guess. Not Team of the Year worthy there. Kicking-wise, Lee DeAngelis, decent for him. And Eaton. And then did he have a return touchdown? Brockington got him 1. All right. San Diego State. Coach Hawk. Josh Johnson, the redshirt freshman, taking over for Garrett Grayson, 24 and 11. Rushing wise, all right, so Taylor Keithman, he had 16 touchdowns on the ground. How did he do through the air? Nothing through the air. Okay, so he can't threaten Snoop Todd. 13 receptions for 160 yards. Josh Johnson had a decent rushing as well. This team was really all rushing. Receiving wise, you got Gilliam. Brandon Cooks not doing too much as a senior. And Oscar Fryer doing nothing. Blocking, he doesn't have any SFA blockers. Defensively, Tyson Hookah, the junior. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles forced. But just not enough sacks or anything to get into that conversation. Norkeithus Otis, his final year, one of my favorite players. Kimo Kekoa, his first year starting, 5.5 or 4. And then Trey Flowers as well. So SFA players kind of popping off here. Kobe Cannon had an interception. Maxine Hookah was tampered away. He had 4 interceptions. Nice. All right, and then these are all... All right, kicking. Okay, so here's a pretty good kicker, Adam Monroe. All right, Southern Miss B-Dogs time. D. Dallas, how did he do? 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Hopefully he can keep those interceptions numbers down, as he also ran for 850 yards. Peyton Hillis had a decent year. Ray Rice, only 100 total yards. Receiving-wise, Frank Gore, probably his best player here. Blocking, Peyton Hillis had 15 pancakes. Monster year for him. No, I have not done Ole Miss yet. All right. So I believe there's only one guy to check out for him, and it's the safety, Amari Snowden. Yeah, so he had 1 pick, no sacks, 4 deflections, 2 fumbles for a loss. All right, so a decent freshman campaign. I know he gave up the win against Kansas, but still not too bad. So we scroll through here. Now we're on to the offensive guys. So kicking-wise, 11 for 16, 35, not good. And then did he get any return touchdowns? 2 from D. Baker. Interesting. All right, Tennessee. So Lou Ishire, 38 and 7. Maybe could have pushed for a Team of the Year spot if he didn't get injured and got those stats, but he has no rushing stats. Cardell Jones played 2 games. Rushing-wise, Jalen Wright had a decent year. Leonard Whitehead, Cardell Jones. As Lou only got 100 total yards. Receiving-wise, Marley. No 1,000-yard receivings. And then how did his offensive line do? Michael Orr just misses out on Team of the Year. Who was it? Jet Riker out of Toledo did just a little bit better. Actually, hold up. 34 pancakes to 2 sacks. Let's go check Toledo. 34 to 2, 34 to 2, 34 to 2. Where's Toledo? Jet Riker, 39 to 7. So is 5 pancakes equal to 5 sacks? 5 pancakes equal to 5 sacks. Let me know. I would say Michael Orr probably takes out Jet Riker. Fisher, who's normally a Team of the Year guy, he only got 15 this season. All right. Defensively, yeah, Tennessee guy. Okay, so Orr will take out. So Michael Orr, he'll be center. Okay. Javion Clowney, not really a good year. Really didn't do much of anything. Moen got all these awards here. Sam Powell, SFA player, in-game guy. 1 interception, whereas Michael Cole, also SFA guy, he got 4. 5, yeah. So decent duo. Neither will be Team of the Year, though. And these are the rest of the players. All right, kicking wise, once he changed to Miranda, he went 2 for 2. And then did he get a return TD? No, he did not. All right, so now we're out of the in-game teams that are users. So now we got to check on the SFA players around the country. So Darius Hayward Bay and Brock Baxter, McGritty's team, 5 touchdowns and 2. Nothing crazy there for them, so we move on. Alabama does have a few SFA players receiving-wise. Leonardo Ferguson, 4 touchdowns for him. And then blocking-wise, what did Bob Pork do? Bob Pork went 34 and 2. So I guess you give Tennessee the equalizer. You had the same amount. So, and that's for the last spot. All right, so Bob Pork gets screwed for being on a CPU team. Defensively, I'm not sure if there's any SFA players here. Let me just scroll quickly. I do not think so. All right, so Alabama's done. Appalachian State, they do have 2 guys to check. So Akron Barron, 5 touchdowns. Receiving-wise, how did he do here? He didn't do anything in receiving. And then on the defensive side, Rashad Banks, 1.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 14 deflections. That's pretty good, but that's not good enough for Team of the Year. And that's it for Appalachian State. Arizona now. Here we go. Dog water. So McLeod 4-1, 30-11 for Gunnar Cruz, 3,900 yards. Rushing wise, Rocker was your guy. Gunnar Cruz, and then Jalen John. Alan Lazard had 5 carries there. Receiving wise, this might this might come down to drops. Okay, so this is going to be a decision here. So Alan Lazard, he has 6 touchdowns, 857 receiving yards, and 8 drops. Okay. Now if we go to Toledo, now remember Toledo did better IRL as well, so they win that tiebreaker. Or do you go Simi Kazi, who has 930, so about 80 more receiving yards, more receptions, 1 less touchdown, and way less drops. So is 1 touchdown enough to overcome all of that stuff? I don't think so. Moving on though, Jalen Johnson, Rocker. Sorry, your receivers. Let me know what you guys think about that one. 2 pancakes for Lazard. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Neil. Game day. They both have game day greats, but Kazi actually scored his. All right, defense, Malik Reed. 7.5 for Wilson. Dion Wilson, nicely done. And now we're into Spencer Landing making 2 tackles. Did he get a fumble forced? No. Janikowski made 2 tackles as well. Nice. And Lazard had a tackle. Kicking. We already went through the kicker. I got to think about that one. I'm leaning Simikaze, though. Because he leads you in everything else. All right, but that's Arizona. I mean, 80 yards. So, all right, Malik Hornsby. So this is Boer's team here. Sanders was in the race. I don't think he has any SFA players anymore. Receiving. And defensively, I don't think any of these players are here anymore that used to be here. 9.5 for Moore. That's pretty good. He had 3 interceptions for Johnson and Hester and Parker. So getting a lot of turnovers. They did upset Colorado this year. As far as kicking, Cam Little and Carlton Morgan. Arkansas State now. So he did have an injury, so he had to kind of start both of them. Not the greatest year. Rushing-wise, Rashad Mendenhall, only 9 carries in his freshman campaign. Jermaine Gresham, he could... so Jermaine Gresham almost... All right. No more SFA players here. And then going through, and that's pretty much it, kicking wise, and any return touchdowns, no. Army, there's only 1 SFA player to check on here. We have a new coach here, 14-12. Godfrey had a great year. Major Cash is the guy we're looking for. So can Major Cash take you out? No, he only had 10 receptions for 2 touchdowns. That will not win you, get you on Team of the Year. And then on the defensive side, that's what it looks like. Kicking, punting, no returns. Auburn, they have no SFA players. BYU has a few. Tyler Bausick, decent. Cobbleberry is the other guy we're looking for. 9 touchdowns and 700 yards. Nicely done. Then I believe they don't have anyone on defense. They actually might. I think Enzo Woods here. So 1 TFL, 4 interceptions, 4 deflections, but I think we said that the defense touchdowns barely put Barney Fish over him. So of course I left, bro. Alright, back to we're at BYU. Ball State has, I believe, just a tight end, CJ Fedorowicz. In his senior campaign, nothing doing. Justin Torres as well, he does nothing either. And then I believe they have a defender. Maybe, maybe not. EJ Gootley, nothing doing. All right, Boise State, they have a receiving tight end. 700 yards and 4 TDs, not enough to unseat Simikaze. Simikaze's fighting for his life today. Boston College, lots of players here. Let's just take a gander. Marcus Davis already number 1. Theodore Jenkins and Kyrie Irvine. Nice. Devontae Freeman. So Kyrie Irving didn't do much, neither did Theodore Jenkins. David Tyree led this team. Not enough for Team of the Year. Xavier Grimble, not enough. Matt Andrews. Blocking wise, Lance Tomahawk, not enough. And then in the backfield here, Takeo Spikes, how did he do in his sophomore year? 2 sacks, an interception. Not enough to get on Team of the Year, though. And that is going to do it there. Kicking-wise, Randy Orton, the punter. He is below McAfee. We already decided that. Bowling Green has nobody. California, yeah, they don't have anybody anymore. Like 99% sure. Central Michigan has no one. Charlotte has no one. Cincinnati, Chad Barber, 31-15. He hopefully will come back for another year. Hudson James, SFA player, not enough. Chad Barber, averaging under 1 yard per rush. You love to see it. Wide receiver wise, no SFA receivers other than Ollie Thibodeau, who only had 2 catches. Blocking wise, Andrew Whitworth, 31-5, just missing out on Team of the Year. And then defensively, we already said Terry Schooler is getting it. Sean Gatsby, decent year for him. And nobody else on this team is an SFA player. Kicking. All right, moving on. Clemson, they have 1 or 2 here. Let's see. Andrew Warfield, he is the backup. Hopefully he's taking over for Will Taylor soon, but he had 3 touchdowns. Watch out for him. He's gonna, when he starts playing, he's gonna hit hard. Did Stanky Leg. He had 2 carries on the season. Let's go, Stanky Leg. All right, receiving. Nothing here really. Blocking, I don't think they have anyone. Oh, Bilbo Berkman, the in-game player. 10-1, nicely done in his freshman year. And then defensively, make a quick scroll, make sure I don't miss anyone. Okay. Kicking. Coastal Carolina. Do they have any SFA players currently? That's the question. I do not think so. They will next year. Yeah, they will next year. Defensively, yeah, no one on this team. Colorado, the only player we need to really look at is rushing. Cale McCarr, he had 900, 12 TDs. Receiving wise, still that's not enough to beat Snoop Todd, who had over 2,000 total yards. And then as far as the blocking, Cade Condor, 17-7. Colorado State, no. Duke, no. Eastern Michigan, no. FIU, no. Florida, how did Mills do? Did he get any tackles this year? Roman Mills, 4 tackles in his sophomore year. See, this is why you don't get SFA players on these good teams. That's terrible. Florida State. All right, let's see. Braxton Miller getting held off because of the interceptions. Rushing-wise, Jake Johnson, 15 touchdowns. Now, how is the receiving? Just not enough there. Very low yardage. Mike Evans making the team of the year pretty easily. Terry Nichols. He doesn't have any blockers. And then defensively, let's see how Ja'Cory. All right, so Adonis Sanders, he had 1 interception and a sack and a fumble return. Nothing coming out of it, though. Shazier didn't do anything either, half of a sack. Ja'Cory Williams, he had 2 interceptions, a sack, 5 deflections, 2 fumble recoveries, and a defensive touchdown. That's not enough to take out Barney Fish. Cody Stallone, how did he do? 9 tackles. He didn't do anything else, though. Shane Ray, did he get any sacks? He got 1 sack. All right, and that's Florida State for you. Fresno State, nobody. Georgia has a few. You see Aaron Ford there. He had a return touchdown. He is an SFA player. How did Ryan McBride do? 21 and 13. Not really what you want to see. Rushing wise, he had 600 yards rushing though. And did Aaron Ford? He only got 1 carry. Receiving wise, they are tight end U over here. So Lorenzo Pine, 17 for 256. Not enough. And then let's see, where is Jackson Wild? Only 1 pancake for him. Defensively, I don't think they have any SFA players. Oh wait, they have the top Jordan Whiting. He had 4, so the #1 player of the class last season, in-game class. 10 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. Pretty decent. Not enough to get on Team of the Year, but pretty decent. All right, moving on. Georgia Southern coach Coco. Let's see what he has going here. All right, you have Jeff Driscoll, 35 to 6. Rushing though, so that's not enough to get him up into the conversation with the QBs, but still a really good year. Rushing wise, 17 touchdowns, Jalen Wright, nicely done. Receiving, you have an SFA player here somewhere. All right, Sammy Watkins, he had a touchdown. I believe you have another one, but all right, he might be gone already. Blocking wise, all right, and then defensively, Stove. Let's see, can he take out AJ Klein? I don't think so. Only 2 sacks, 5 deflections, 1 forced fumble. That's not enough to take him out, even though this was a great year for him. Kyle Brookins had 4 sacks. Timmy Jernigan, 3.5. Brooks Clint, 2 picks. Did he do anything else? He had a forced fumble and 2 fumble returns. Co Simpson, the freshman, he had an interception. Nice, only 12 tackles though. Josh Gumbo, 2.5 sacks for Josh Gumbo. And Robbie Tyson as well had a sack. Nice. Kicking, 5 of 10. Not good. Then any return touchdowns. All right, Jamichael Thompson had 1. Sammy Watkins did not. All right, that's Jay Sow for you. Houston, check the SFA players. 31 to 7 for Kopp. Nicely done. Rushing, McCaskill had 24 touchdowns. God damn. How is he not a Heisman finalist? But as far as SFA players on this team, they're pretty much only on the defense. That is in the recruiting class portion of the offseason. So that's after coaching changes and after the transfer portal. Defensively, obviously 16.5 for Garfield. Kent, how did he do? 2.5 sacks, 10, an interception, 2 deflections, not enough to get on Team of the Year. How did David Fatiti go? 2.5 sacks, okay. But nothing crazy going here either. Kicker, hold up. 20 of 23, okay, I thought it was 23 of 86. I was like, what? Caskell had a, so 25 total touchdowns. That's crazy. All right, Illinois has some SFA players. Rushing, Doug Chonkla, we just said he missed out. Mike Allstott, almost 1,000 yards rushing. God damn. Those 2 are menaces. He did have 3 fumbles, though. Interesting. Receiving, though. No one on the receiving end blockers. I don't think they have anyone. And then defensively, Marquise Tompkins is an SFA player. He had a sack, no interceptions as a corner. 3 forced fumbles, so interesting. Kyle Horry, no sacks, no interceptions. What was he doing this year? Just forcing fumbles. So he's not going to make Team of the Year. Vince Wilfork, 2.5 sacks in his freshman campaign. And I believe that's it for this team. Indiana has no one. Iowa, I believe. All right, let's see what Cody Green did this year as a backup. 500 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. Deuce Hogan kind of balled. They don't have a running back. I know they have a... I know there's a... here he is. Jason Foreman. 5-4, not the best freshman year. Cam Buffington, I don't know if he's... Yeah, he is an SFA player. All right, 6 tackles for loss, half of a sack, 2 picks, 2 deflections. Nothing else crazy, though. He will get held out there, but a good year for him for sure. And he has a few more linebackers incoming. Kansas State, they have no SFA players currently. Kent State, neither. Kentucky, rest in peace, Coach Green. Let's see, Hazelnut, decent year. And then defensively, Deshaun Candler, 2 interceptions for Candler. And I believe that's it. LSU, I doubt we're going to see any real stats from the SFA players here, but never hurts to check. Receiving wise, yeah, so the tight end didn't even play, the 5-star tight end. Blocking, they don't have anybody there. Defensively, Sampha. Bones Highland, all right, he got some action. 3 tackles for loss, a sack. 6 deflections, a forced fumble. Nothing crazy. Mumu Bin Wadden. See, so these are the kind of players that are going... 5 picks for the safety, Mumu. Or no, that's 5 interception yards. Never mind. 1 pick for Mumu. I was going to be like, bro, this guy's getting on Team of the Year. But these are the kind of players who are buried on these depth charts, on these teams that are going to be thrown into the transfer portal. All right, so LSU is done. Louisiana. All right, so let's see how Coach Dirty Bird went. Daryl Jackson tampered from Illinois. Pretty much what you expected from him in the passing game. Kind of a down year for Nadir Finley, who was Team of the Year last year. Look at the digression in touchdowns. Kind of sad. Receiving wise, how'd Shane Acho do in his first year? 400 yards, 6 touchdowns, nothing too good. And then on the defensive side, how did this team do? Darren Williams, a half a sack. He got an interception, then he got hurt for the year. Ndamukong Suh is a freshman, only 3 sacks. You'd think he'd be a bit more dominant. And that is it for Coach Dirty, unfortunately. Not a great year for them. Louisiana Tech, they only have Youngsung Bung. All right, so he actually got into a game. 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Nice. I think he's going to be their starter next year. So watch out for Youngsung Bung. He had 82 rush yards. How'd Zach Howard do? 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns. If he had more touchdowns, he would have been the combo for Team of the Year. And then they have a few players on defense. James Kiffin, only 2 picks. We have him as just under Frank Beamer, unfortunately. And then Blaine Kinley, only 3 sacks. This team kind of fell apart. Marshall, let's just take a look quickly. Rakeem Cato, SFA player, did nothing his senior year. Receiving, Devontae Parker, SFA player, 7 touchdowns. That guy spams every single time. I just ignore it. Joe Thuney, 2 sacks here. Shutung Mungwa, already team of the year with his 8 interceptions. And that's it for this. And he does not have an SFA kicker. Maryland, let's see. This is another threat to the tight ends. So definitely a step back here. So Philip Dorsett, Penny Boone. But Philip Dorsett, 6 touchdowns. Not enough for team of the year. Receiving wise, McKinney, not enough. Richard McKinney. All right. So there's that. Blocking, nothing crazy. Defensively, I don't think they have anyone. Let's just go through quickly. Or they have Holden Shaw. Where's Holden Shaw? 15 TFLs. That's just not enough. He needs some. Yeah, he barely missing out on team of the year there. He needs a few more sacks. And that is it for Maryland. Memphis, they don't have any SFA players. Other than Case McCoy. 37-15, so that's a decent year for him. They almost won Conference USA. And Miami, we went over Mark Liu. He is getting team of the year, 43-6, with 800 rushing yards and 7. So taking over for Van Dyke was the right move. Rushing wise, McKinnon, great year for him. Does he have enough? No, he doesn't. So kind of comparable to Snoop Todd, but just not enough to get over him. Let's see. Allen Robinson, 1 reception all year. That's not going to do well for you. No SFA players there. And then how did God's Power Offer do, huh? 4.5 sacks for the junior. That's not going to be enough for team of the year, my guy. Come on now. We know you're better than that. Nothing else for this defense. Sendejo in his freshman year, only a 1 tackle. Yeah, no. And they do not have a kicker. Okay, Miami, Ohio. No, Michigan has a few guys. Let's just take a look here quickly. I don't think they have as many anymore. But I know that they have Loudermilk. We already saw him. He's barely missing out. I think he's their only one currently, so I was mistaken there. Middle Tennessee State. Let's see, where does Flipper Masters make team of the year? 36 and 9, 3,500 yards rushing wise. So he gets up to 46, but the yards and the interceptions are still a little too high, so he is not getting team of the year, but still a masterful performance. Rushing wise, Frank Peasant was a beast. And they have nobody else on this team. Mississippi State doesn't. Missouri, do they have any SFA players? These names, surprisingly, I do not think so. Does he have a... I don't think Missouri has anybody currently. Yeah, no. NC State, let's see how... there's a few different guys here to check, but first off, Carmelo Cannon, terrible season for him. God, that's so bad. He's in the same class as Lou Ishire. And then the only other guy to check for them is Kobe Cobble. So he had 2 interceptions, or an interception, 5 deflections. So decent freshman campaign for him, but not enough for a team of the year bid. There's so many people in just that, like in the same little group of just there, but not enough. Chris Cooley, the only SFA player on Navy. Nebraska, let's see how they did. Johnny Manziel, 22 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. He fell off. He was the early Heisman winner. Giovanni Bernard got hurt, unfortunately. He was having a really good year. 15 rushing touchdowns for Johnny. Hold up. So he had 22 plus 15. That's 37. God damn, dude. This man running it. And then receiving-wise, Will Nixon. Tyler Croft, not enough there for him. Okay. Blocking-wise, no more SFA guys there. And then let's check how the defense did. Shaq Jinkson, SFA player, 4.5. Xavier Townsend, no interceptions. Marcus Peters, 3 interceptions. Nothing additional really though, so he will not be making it. And that's it for this team. Nevada, I think this team has 1 safety, I believe. If he even played. Maybe not. Oh, Rico Valdez. Yes, he was the bust from last season. 1.5 sacks. He had 3 forced fumbles. That's pretty good, but nothing crazy. New Mexico. All right, let's see what Ryan Leaf in the backup spot this year. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That one sucks for him. And then the only other guy they have on this team would be Ephesians Prysock, I believe. So let's take a look at him. Ephesians Prysock, he had 15 tackles for loss, 1 interception this year, so down. Definitely not a good year for him. North Carolina, they do not have any SFA players. North Texas doesn't. Northern Illinois does not. Northwestern does not. Notre Dame does. Let's see. Rushing wise, Alan Hearns. We've already talked about him. He's on Team of the Year. 19 touchdowns. He's number 2. Greg Robinson, SFA player, 13 pancakes. And then on the defensive side, Thomas Davis, 1 sack, 1 interception. That's not going to do it. Donnie Donowitz, the in-game player, 1.5. Nothing crazy for him either. And fortunately, Christian Kirksey's season was cut short. I was so hyped to see what he could do. But nothing really. All right. Ohio State, obviously, they just won a national championship today. Fuckers. Let's see how Tyron Jefferson, definitely not making Team of the Year. Trey Burton, he's not either. Yeah, he transferred to New Mexico here. Nothing crazy there. And then defensively, JT Tuilamoa got to 10. Yeah, none of our guys did anything. No sacks for Vegas Mercury or any of the other guys. Oklahoma doesn't have any anymore. Oklahoma State does have a few guys, so let's take a look. Receiving. Quentin Stewart, SFA player. That's not quite enough to get Sammy Coates, and that's not enough. They have Tyler Lockett as well. Blocking-wise, no. Defensively, all right, so Denzel Perriman, 4.5 and 18. That could be enough to take out, ooh, okay, hold on. So we're going to have to compare this to A.J. Klein. So 2 deflections, 2 forced fumbles. He did have an interception, 4.5 and 18. So where is Minnesota? We could have a takeover here. Minnesota. A.J. Klein, are you there? So 12 TFLs, so more TFLs, 1 half sack less, 1 interception more, and he had no fumbles. Okay, so are 2 forced fumbles enough to overcome an interception and half a sack more? And then total tackles, 88. Let's see what Oklahoma State's was. 76. Okay, so Denzel, you're just going to barely miss out, I think. Danny Shelton, he had 5.5 sacks. 20 TFLs, nothing crazy. I mean, that is pretty good, but not enough to get on Team of the Year. Old Dominion. So let's see how Blake Bortles did. Blake Bortles, 1,300 yards, 10-4, decent relief for him. Wide receiver-wise, DeAnthony Thomas, he had 10 touchdowns, not enough yardage though. Michael Thomas the same way. And then blocking, John Doe, he was Team of the Year last year. Defensively, I believe they only have one guy here, Ryan Ryder. Interception, TFL, nothing crazy. And then let's see how AJ Moore did. That is not good enough to get on Team of the Year this year. Roberto Aguayo was better. All right, now we're on to Ole Miss. Here we go. Ryan Fitzmagic, 25-7, 3,100 yards. Not enough to get on Team of the Year. Nate Robinson had a good year though. Brent Boozler. Receiving. Brent Boozler made 101 catches. Nicely done. Blocking wise. Or how did Cody Silk do? 24-1. So not enough, but he was a bust. All right. 7.5 for Brandon Mack. Chris Jones, 2.5 sacks. That's not good enough. Miles Ricketts, he had the 3 interceptions, but nothing in addition. Not going to be quite good enough for Team of the Year. Devion Haskins, 5.5. Nicely done. SFA player as well, but you didn't do anything additional. You got to have something in there. Booker Atwood. Did he force a lot of fumbles? No. Bobby Chalk, what did he do? He only had 31 tackles. He didn't get any sacks or anything. Eric Weddle, kind of the same deal. Lots of SFA guys here that aren't really doing much. Terrell Devers, same way. He had a forced fumble. He did have a deflection. No interceptions, no sacks. But they're all getting out on the field. Lerod Hopgood got redshirted this year. And Costa and Patrick Fox. And then any return touchdowns. Boozler did also have a return touchdown. So the number 1 receiver. Oregon, they have a defender here that we need to look at. Christian Comet. 2 sacks. 2 forced fumbles. Okay, yeah. So anyone that was redshirted, I will fix if it messes up their year. But yeah. Oregon State, they only have one guy here, receiving-wise. Eric Nance, 7 receptions. That's not going to do anything for you. All right, Penn State. How did Pryor do? So they played pretty much half the season, and I still would have preferred Pryor because of his rushing abilities. Pat McAfee actually tried to pass. It did not work. Terrell Pryor was the 2nd leading rusher. Isaiah Holmes had a good year. Receiving wise, Clifford, Jack, and then Jimmy Christ. All right. Defensively, Dallas Dobbs, 4.5 sacks at the linebacker spot. Nothing additional, so that's not going to be AJ Klein. And they're holding people off. Davion Towney, Tariq Jones is an SFA corner. No interceptions. Jamari Buden, Keelan King had a good year. Joe Payne, the in-game player, 1 sack. Demario Triplett, he had a sack or an interception. Pat McAfee also made 3 tackles. Kicking, punting. Any return touchdowns? No. None for Coach Dave. Pittsburgh has a lot of SFA players. This is where the tight end could be taken out. Ty Montgomery, though, really good season for him. Just not enough touchdowns. And then Gene Dangus, the #1 receiver. And then Jeff Hireman had a bad year. He was Team of the Year tight end last year. I thought maybe he could get back up there, but no. Ty Montgomery. Mike Cox. Right. Blocking-wise, no SFA players here. Defensively, Bud Dupree is going to make it currently. And then you have Lewis Nix, SFA player, 1.5 sacks. Tanio Teaupo, or Tuupo, SFA player, nothing. Eric Reed, he is going to be the #1 safety as of right now. Lacoby Dean didn't do anything. And those are the rest of them. Purdue has just the tight end. Let's go take a look, see what he did. Philip Stewart, that's not enough. Take out Simikaze. Close, but not enough. Rice has no one. Rutgers has no one. SMU, no. San Jose State, all they have is these nuts. Can these nuts make a 12 for 19? That's not going to get it done, unfortunately. These nuts, you are not doing it this year. South Alabama, I believe, might have one. Or SMU does have one. I gotta go check. Yeah, so, alright, SMU has AC Leonard, who is right here, who is a good player. Oh boy, he could be making Team of the Year. 3.5 sacks, 14 TFLs, no interceptions, and forced fumbles, no. So he misses out as well. Stanford, let's see how they did. Receiving wise, Darren Waller, 7 touchdowns, but not enough yardage. Tyrese Hall, same kind of a deal. Blocking, they don't have anybody here. Defensively, Kyle Powers is an SFA player. 14, 1.5, 2 interceptions, 4, 3, and 1. Ooh. So a little less tackles, the same interceptions, a lot less sacks. Yeah, no, that doesn't beat AJ Klein. But does it beat... Hold on. Well, I gotta look at David McCormick again. Kansas. David McCormick, 95. He had 3.5, so less TFLs, no interceptions, and the fumbles were not there. Okay, so... I honestly think we got to take out David McCormick and put AJ Klein and Kyle Powers here. Hold on. And let me go look at Bud Dupree again just while we're doing this. Linebackers, interesting. So 98, he had 5 TFLs, a half sack, so he had no sacks. He had the 3 interceptions, 12 deflections though, and all these fumbles. And I still think that's better. So how do we rate the sacks? We're on Stanford right now. What do we do about the sacks? Fork's already on Team of the Year. How did Kwiatkowski do? Interception, deflections. I think we might have to leave out Dave McCormick. Interesting. Alright, well, let's take a look, see if anyone else can always come back. Alright, Wilkerson, how'd he do? 27 and 9. Really not that great. McCluster, we already checked. He had no receiving stats. Receiving, Gadsden. Burke, bad year for him. Blocking, Sinclair's already there. Ronald Martin Jr. is not. Defensively, Dewey Deeks and David Young, 5.5. Kevin Williams is senior, only 2 sacks. Darrell Rivas, he had 4 interceptions. That was not quite enough. And then Stephon Tuitt, he had 1 sack. And then how did Wayne Rooney do? 11 for 20. That's not getting you Team of the Year either. All right, TCU, they do have a few. Anthony Black, he had 17 and 6. Rushing wise, Joshua Hinton is an SFA player. I believe that's it on this team. Temple, no. Texas, we already checked. Beamer. And Myron Gibbs as well. Yeah, nobody popping off here. Texas A&M. Let's see how the tight end did. Matthew Brown, only 2 receptions. And then just for shits and giggles, fucking Stowers. Jesus, dude. Stowers could have won the Heisman just on his rushing alone. If this guy was an SFA player, like if you would have just... Yeah, fucking hell, man. Stowers probably would be my pick if the Heisman was after the CFP. Because, goddamn, 18 touchdowns for that guy. Wild. Texas State, they have a quarterback here. Jose Saunders, he went 17-7. Texas Tech, I do not believe has anybody. Toledo, how did Brett Huntley do? 33-5 with 13 rushing touchdowns. So that's 46 and 30, so that's 46 total. Okay, so this could potentially... Huntley could push Mark Liu here. So he has 46 total touchdowns. How many fumbles? 2 fumbles. And then he has 47. Alright, so let's check Miami. Miami. Mark Liu. Okay, so he only had 4,200 yards, so he had 5,000, and he had 1 more interception, and so he's up to 50. Okay, so Mark Liu still beats him out. Yeah, I mean, I don't think an honorary CFP player, but he's definitely good. All right, Toledo, let's keep going. So Brett Huntley just misses out. Jordan Lowe, not an SFA player. Receiving, Kazi, obviously. Marquise Lee as well. Did he have any rushing stats this year? No, he didn't. Okay. Blocking, Jet Riker just missed out. First man out. And then Jaquavion Tavius, we already looked. Yeah, no one else here. Harrington did nothing. Yeah, no. So, all right, moving on. Tulane, Tulsa, UAB. How did Connor Cook do? Connor Cook, 13-8. Terrible. Just ridiculously bad for some of these. And then let's see defensively. Where's Theo Porter? Theo Porter, 66 tackles. Nothing good for this team. UCF, no SFA players. UCLA, they do have the running back. They went 0-12 this year. AJ Sampson, only 500 yards. Oof. So if you decide to go here, I mean, you have a decent sophomore guy to build around, I guess, but definitely a tough pill to swallow there. ULM, Sammy Baugh. Not as good of a year as we thought at the beginning. He was kind of vibing, and then he just didn't. He didn't run all that well. UNLV doesn't have anyone. USC has a few guys here, so let's see how Eric Kendricks did. 9 TFLs, nothing else really. Okay, USF has their only guy got hurt. UTEP, no. Utah State, no. Utah, do they have anyone anymore? I don't think so. I think all theirs graduated. Yeah. This is a good team, but this is, once again, another one of those, you know, they won a natty, and then they're on the very tail end of their core. All of them are leaving. Utah State has no one. Vanderbilt, they have a few. First off, Amir Abdullah, not enough. Abdullah again. Rashad. Defensively, they might all kind of be gone, though. Woodrow Hamilton is an SFA player, just not enough going there. We're getting towards the end. Is anyone going to make a last-second play for Team of the Year? Virginia, no one. Chugong's already on the list, but let's see what the kicker did. 6 for 12. These guys are killing me. Wake Forest doesn't have anyone. Washington doesn't have anyone. Washington State doesn't have anyone. West Virginia. Let's see how Nelson Spruce did. Not nearly enough for a Team of the Year bid. Western Kentucky has no one. Western Michigan. Snoop Todd is already on there. But let's just take a look. See if there's... Glenn Ewing is also an SFA player. Stole some of his juice, if you will. Blocking. No. They do have defenders, though. Mickey Switzer, he had 2 interceptions, 4 deflections, some fumbles. Decent year for him. The other guy is the safety, Oliver Waldorf. He didn't do anything. He had 2 interceptions, though. All right. Wisconsin, they do have some SFA players. Let's take a look. Kim Stingley, how do you do? 500 yards, not all that great. All right. O'Leary saves himself. Josh Kirkpatrick, SFA player, saves it. Jazz King didn't do anything. Okay. Dan Katz didn't do anything as a freshman. Blocking, no. Defensively now. Ed Davis, 3.5, 10 tackles, 2 interceptions, 4-1-1. And a defensive touchdown. Okay, Ed Davis might be getting a Team of the Year spot. But over who? Because, sure, the tackles are way down. DeChard Pippins had a bad year. He will not be making Team of the Year. The linebackers are the most difficult part. Because does Ed Davis take out Bud Dupree or anybody? I don't think so. I think you just still give it to A.J. Klein. I just need somebody to tell me, okay, Wyoming. Let's see here. All right, so Coach Wind gave Gavin Beer up. You got Ike Riggs, who you're going to build around. Decent year. Rushing, this is all going to be your new guy, so these numbers do not really matter. Receiving. This Wallace guy, might get him for another year. Blocking. Decent blocker here, the sophomore. Defensively, all right, how did Alton Jackson do? 9 TFLs, 2.5 sacks. This is the 7-footer. He did nothing else, though, so he will not make Team of the Year this year. Alrighty, so that is going to wrap up the Team of the Year stream. If you're still watching, thank you. Just want to, once again, I want to go through the whole thing. So QB, if you have any concerns or you want to look at something, let me know. But QB1 is going to be Marcus Davis. QB2 is Mark Liu out of Miami. Running back is Binks McBurnfinger and Snoop Todd. Wide receiver is Boozler, Hearns, Evans, and Heimlich. Tight end is Ebron and Kazi. Offensive line is Sinclair, Xavier Johnson out of ECU. Michael Orr, Corey Fleming, and then Carver Kemper. Defensive line is Roderick Rook Chugong from Virginia Tech, Dwayne Johnson, Boyko from Baylor, and Terry Schooler from Cincy. Cornerback is Shutung Mungwa out of Marshall, Fork from Stanford, Frank Beamer from Texas. Safeties are going to be Eric Reed and Barney Fish. Kicker is Aguayo and Pac McAfee. And then finally, linebacker is Bud Dupree, David McCormick, and A.J. Klein. I'm going to give it a few minutes, see if you guys have any questions. Like, David McCormick, 95 tackles is a shitload. 3.5 sacks, basically the same as Ed Davis, but he doesn't have any of the, so just 30 tackles, yeah, it kind of has to make up for it, honestly. Yeah. Alright, so if there are no further quarrels or questions, I'm going to give this another minute. I'm going to post this. And then you guys may start seeing offers come into your inboxes. Flame, you will be first. I or L. So Flame, if this is your last year, you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 Team of the Year guys on this team, which might have been, if you let Teddy play in the he might have been the quarterback. But alrighty, so that wraps up the Team of the Year stream. This will go on YouTube later if you do want to watch it and see your stats, if you have SFA players. So thanks for watching.